Artificial Intelligence Tech Solutions delivers robotics assistance devices and artificial intelligence-based hardware, as well as software solutions for organizations. And with me is the CEO, Steve Reinharz, to tell us about AITX. Give us an overview of the company, Steve. Like, how is it structured? What all do you have going on?
Thanks, Jane. I'm glad to be here. It's great to chat with you. At the end of the day, what Robotic Assistance Devices is doing, right? We call it RAD for short, and it's owned by AITX, Artificial Intelligence Technology Solutions. But what we're doing is we're delivering today solutions that help enterprise organizations save millions of dollars while performing critical security and facility functions.
Okay, so that's kind of your main. So tell me how you do it. You've got how many robotic devices? I mean, describe it. How does it all work?
Yeah, sure. So there's 5 main devices in the lineup right now, and it's going to be joined by more devices. But right now, for example, one of our devices is called Rosa, and it's a device that is specifically designed to combat some incredibly nagging and costly activities that happen at retail and various properties, specifically loitering, vagrancy, those types of issues where it's difficult and dangerous for humans to get involved. Rosa will perform those same jobs autonomously at a fraction of the cost of using a human resource.
So how does Rosa know there is a situation where she may need to intervene?
Yeah. So Rosa is built upon our platform, and our platform is artificially intelligent to some extent, depending on how granular you want to get as far as what that means. But using very sophisticated AI-driven algorithms for human detection, for loitering, for different types of behavior is how we then determine whether or not somebody is loitering or being a vagrant or exhibiting behaviors that shouldn't happen at that site. That could be precursors to assaults and other types of crimes on site. Okay. So using that technology, then Rosa will autonomously intervene with audio and visuals in order to tell the people, hey, you shouldn't be here. And then from there, we escalate to the point where, depending on how the situation escalates, law enforcement could be called to clear the area as needed. Okay. We do that autonomously, again, at a fraction of the cost and without the risk if you were to use a human security officer.
Right. Now, so Rosa can... how well does that work? I mean, do you find that a certain percentage of the time, if Rosa says, what are you guys doing, go away, that actually happens? Like, how often does it escalate?
It's crazy, Jane. It's crazy, okay? What I'm about to share with you, it's hard for me to believe it myself, okay? But at this time, Rosa works 100% of the time.
What?
Now, I expect that the number will go down, of course, right? It's a relatively small sample set. Mm-hmm. We've got 20 devices going out to a major international retailer. They're being installed this week and next week. They'll all be installed in a few weeks from now. This client has persistent, violent, dangerous activities at their stores. And I'm really excited to deliver to them this solution. And will it work every time? Of course it won't. But if we're working 50% of the time, 80% of the time, any type there, we're way ahead of the game when you compare our cost versus the dollars saved.
Sure. I mean, if it leads to less cost in terms, and personnel are safer, things like that, I mean, it's, worth it. So, okay, so we've got Rosa. You mentioned 4 others, right? Yeah. Tell me about those.
Well, I want to bring attention to Romeo in the back here.
Okay.
Romeo is an autonomous, large robot that performs a lot of different functions, again, today, right? So first thing is there's always the scale question, Jane. I always get the scale question. How big is Romeo? Because if you don't see it beside someone, you think it's a little guy. Romeo is almost 7 feet tall, 850 pounds. It is a big guy, right?
It's like a transformer, like that would.
Yeah, it's big, like a transformer, it's big. And if you have, positive intentions when you're on a property, you look at it and you say, hey, that's cool. Maybe I want to take my picture with it. Right? But if you're a visitor, you need help, you could go up and interact. It could give you directions or link you back to humans for additional help. If you've got malicious intent, you take a look at that thing and you're like, hey, maybe I should think twice. And then it starts interacting with you because you might be exhibiting behaviors that have been flagged as you know, not necessarily positive. Then all of a sudden, with autonomous devices, we have accomplished a security and facilities function at a fraction of the cost and without the risk to human.
What kind of behaviors does Romeo look for?
We're primarily looking for humans and vehicles in times and places where they shouldn't be, because that's often a precursor of robbery, break and entry, assault, vagrancy, loitering, those types of things. So by clearing out those areas, which is really one of the primary functions of human security guards, by clearing them out with our autonomous low-cost devices, we're accomplishing that task. We're avoiding the risk of the potential solution. That's part of the core of our tech. There's a lot of new stuff coming, but for now, that's what we're doing. It works. People love it.
Interesting. So the other than 3 robotic assisted devices, what are those?
Yeah, so one of them is like Rosa, but it's called Scott. It's big, it's 7 feet tall. It's an imposing kiosk type device that could go in large indoor areas or outdoor areas such as parking lots. And it could do a bunch of different things. It could, again, it's gonna bark at you if you're doing something you shouldn't do. It's gonna give information and positive reinforcement through its messaging and through its monitors. And it's a really cool addition to any site. You're gonna uplift everybody who enters that site with safety and information. Wally is an indoor unit. It goes on a wall, hence our very clever naming, right? Good at that. And Wally is going to perform a lot of the functions of a lobby ambassador or a receptionist or a lobby security officer. We're going to check people in. We're going to clear the lobby. We're going to allow deliveries in. We're going to allow employees in. We're going to give help to people in need. We're going to provide supplemental information. And again, we're going to improve the prestige of the lobby safely at a fraction of the cost of alternate methods. The fifth device, again, is one of my most exciting, but you got to understand, I love all the devices. I think they're all great.
They're all like your kids. You love them all equally. Yeah.
That's jealous. They're like, Dad, you're always talking about Rosa and Ava. What about me? No, I'm kidding. Kids are great. But Ava is autonomous verified access. And this is a device that replaces a very hard to staff job today. So right now, our clients, our guarding companies, have difficulty finding human labor because of all the issues that we see happening in the economy. Well, a lot of customers need guards at gates to check in vehicles, be it trucks or people, right? Ava does that, and Ava arguably does it better most of the time than a human could or a human would. So that's the fifth of the 5 products.
Okay. So, and the security issue. So there's about 1.2 million security guards nationwide right now. So Rosa and Romeo are the 2 security ones, right?
Well, that's the whole thing about the way that we've designed our solution. Okay. All the devices will do the security work as I've outlined, like with Rosa, for example, but all of them will also do operational or marketing or general facility work as well. So for instance, the messaging, and the messaging could be, promoting something at the business if it's in a commercial space. It could be, we could be using a visual analytic, back in the day and in some sort of situations where we see that a person doesn't have a face mask on. So autonomously we remind them, hey, put your face mask on, put your PPE on if it's a hard hat location, right? So those types of facility and safety functions are also included. And so it's kind of like a device might during the day be doing that facility work, and then at night it might go into a security stance. And this is how we're delivering value to the customers 24 hours a day.
Okay. Now, do you foresee these replacing security guards, or would they just be assistants to the human security guards?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Right now, as we mentioned earlier, we have a significant labor problem, and we hear about it from our guarding companies on a daily basis. So our primary channel is the guarding companies, and we've signed over 25 guarding companies who basically say to us, I need help staffing. We don't have access to the human labor. We need to have a technology solution to fill these roles. And that's where we're at. Now, do I foresee us, reducing the number of security guards? Maybe over time, as our devices proliferate, but it's going to be a long time. Right now, what I see us doing are filling jobs that can't be filled or found with human labor.
Yeah, interesting.
I also find us filling jobs where the end users can't afford a human solution. They need one, they want one, they can't afford it. We come in, perform the same work at a significantly reduced cost.
Yeah. Well, and some of the places will need security 24/7, and that's, 3 employees at least, plus there's vacations and sick days and things like that. So I can see how that would reduce cost. Who are your typical, you mentioned retail, who else would be a typical customer?
Logistics. Remember I was talking about the guard gates? Mm-hmm. We just finished a 4 AVA deployment at one of the globe's largest companies, one of their super hubs. So again, staffing issue, wanting to do better, wanting to use technology. So it's a huge achievement that we got that project and we completed that deployment, very sophisticated deployment. So logistics, retail, property management, and construction. Those are our primary 4 markets at this time.
Okay. Now, what about the pandemic? How long have you been in business? How did the pandemic, did it enhance your business, slow it down? What was the impact there?
It's fascinating. The business started in 2016. That's when we first started kind of formulating what we're doing in terms of autonomous remote services. The pandemic came, and as the pandemic was coming, we were watching it from just a global interest standpoint, right? So in January of 2020, we started thinking about, hey, there's a possibility this thing could go big, like it was a real possibility in some people's minds. So we started developing a face mask detection analytic, and we started building our health screening option on the Wallies to help screen people before they entered business premises. So we started that in February. In March, when it really kind of hit America and we really kind of started the lockdowns, much like the rest of the world, we didn't know what was going to happen, right? It was a scary time, at least for us, but we continued to work relentlessly on those solutions. And by April and May, we started getting some traction with those solutions as people understanding, hey, life has to go on, and we're going to have to use some help. We're going to have to use technology to allow us to do that. In August of that year, we had some national coverage of some of our work that was carried across 15 major markets. That was a big boost. And then, after getting through that beginning period, the pandemic has really been good. We've expanded a lot. We've learned how to work together remotely. And in general, I really couldn't be happier with where we're at right now.
Yeah, that's so interesting because there are places and especially if we have another one of these, oh my goodness, let's hope not. But the humans just can't be close to each other where a robot could do that. So fascinating stuff. So let's talk about your company. You mentioned in 2016. Is the manufacturing made there in Detroit where you're headquartered? Of course, we think of Detroit as the city of manufacturing. Are you carrying on that tradition?
We absolutely are. And we're so happy to be part of Detroit in terms of the, fourth industrial revolution, how we're bringing technology. I'm a huge fan of Detroit. I'm a huge fan of America's manufacturing might. We are the best at it. We have been, we will be again. And so for us, expanding from our original California factory to our much larger Detroit factory, it's a great story. We love being there. And we're going to bring investors there in a couple months as well and do a large investor tour.
Beautiful city. I've been there. I was just this architecture is so the Art Deco is really pretty. So talk to me about AITX, what you see for the future, and just in general, robots. Where are we going? How we live in 10 years? Will robots be part of our daily lives?
Most certainly they will. The reality is robots are part of our daily life right now. So just, the fact that your cell phone is probably not more than 24 inches away from your hand, right? I view robots as, anything that brings any degree of autonomy to us. Autonomy meaning access to information without waypoints or controls, ability to perform functions autonomously for us, whether it's something as benign as your thermostat seeing it's getting cold and turning on the AC, right? But really, you see it with Siri, you see it with Alexa, in terms of them starting to predict what you're going to need and have it in place for you. Now take that, I'm just using that as an example, take that and start applying it to traffic patterns at facilities, start applying it to how crimes are committed, which is where we're at right now. And you get this new world vision where tech is an integral part of our life as it is today, but even more so because we've got physical devices such as what we produce out there performing a lot of these functions. So I think the future is wild, wacky, a little bit strange as it always is. And I encourage everybody to embrace change because it's going to be coming either way. So
embrace it or live with it, I guess, and data driven, I think, as you mentioned, like the traffic patterns and the crime, like all that data is going to be telling us so much, and hopefully will make life safer, more efficient, healthier, and all that. So I think that's the goal.
I think it will. I see it happening right now. I see it happening with our customers right now, where we're just relieving anxiety of different types of property crimes right off the bat. So I'm an optimist for the future.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Fascinating to hear about the company and just how we're going to be living in the future. Thank you, Steve.
Jane, I enjoyed our chat. I look forward to the next one.